Mahesh, can I start? Okay. Hey, good evening all. Warm welcome to this session of IoT Internet of Things Connected World. Thanks to the NPTEL team for arranging this session. So let's start. Let me introduce myself. I am Jyoti Goenka, working as a Senior Director with Capgemini India. And I have a overall 21 plus years of experience and predominantly in infrastructure space and up to some extent in application space. IoT is one of my favorite area and which I keep studying, and I am shared to all with all of you in this today's 1 hour session, whatever maximum we can cover it. So I have just structured this session in the basically four components. One is introduction to IoT. I assume most of the engineering students they're aware of IoT, but still there might be many who might not understand what exactly is the IoT. We will cover IoT simple introduction. Then, being you as a engineering students or whoever the students part of this call, it is very important for all of you to understand the IoT architecture. And once you have a high level understanding of IoT architecture, you can think and analyze which particular field is of your interest or where you want to pursue your career. And just give a little bit perspective how actually IoT ecosystem is there. I have covered some few of the IoT use cases. A little bit I will cover on career opportunities, which I know many of the engineering students, or I assume many students are part of this session. They will be interested. Okay. So let's first the basic thing. What is Internet of Things? Just you think whatever can be connected, that will be connected, and this will dramatically change how we live and work. You whatever the things around you, maybe it may be your specs, it may be your shoes, it may be your handbag, or it may be your smart lights, which are we call lights, or your home appliances, whatever the things, when you are connecting through internet, that is the basic simple fundamental thing, it is Internet of Things. So see, I know most of you are young students, but there was an era of 2000 where internet was not there. And I still remember my college days when we used to get assignment and everything, we used to rush to the libraries looking into the old newspaper or books and everything. And I know all of you, the moment you get your assignment or project, you switch to Google. So it's a something internet has become as a norm. I think you can't live without that, starting from your smartphone, everything, your taxi booking, your payments, everything you're doing, and internet has become a life for us. So same is the thing. IoT is the next era, which is going to be as our overall life, and it's the part of our life. So again, I am just re-emphasizing. So Internet of Things is a vision where every object in the world has the potential to connect. Please read in between the line that every object in the world has a potential to connect. Even we human being also, you consider that we are also as an object, and even we also have a potential to connect to the internet as a single thing. But what is the use of that connect? Just for the sake of or mere just of connecting, you are not connecting the things to the internet. So everything, it is generating the data. So whatever is the data you are collecting from those things, you have to analyze that data and then bring some meaningful insight from that data, and then what is the purpose and what some actions you are doing or whatever you want to do with that meaningful insight. That is the whole purpose of connecting all the things through internet. So that's what the things which has potential to connect to the internet and provide their data to derive actionable insight on its own or through other connected objects, which we will discuss in subsequent slides. So, simple IoT networking, it is connecting your things, people, applications, and data, everything, and it is connecting through internet, and eventually it is enabling you to controlling those things and sending the instructions and doing some meaningful tasks, which when I will cover the use cases, you will able to correlate. Now, there are two aspects of IoT. One is called consumer IoT, which I assume many of you are already aware of. Today, many of you must be wearing smart watches or even our mobile phone. That is a smart thing. It is connected to the internet. Even we have smart TVs in every home. Smart refrigerators are there. Smart lights are there. So those are all consumer IoT, which is basically your day-to-day life smooth or easier, right? That's what your consumer IoT. Okay. So I am assuming you are all aware of that. Now, being as a student, where all of you are aiming to build your career, the focus of this today's discussion is enterprise IoT or even industrial IoT, which you might have seen the term IIoT. So, what does it mean by enterprise IoT or industrial IoT? See, overall, as an industry, how you are connecting the different things in an industry to improve that overall organization. It may be your retail industry, it may be your manufacturing industry, it may be your transport industry, it may be your city. So, you are hearing smart city, smart home, and everything. So, that is something in the enterprise, you are connecting everything to improve your enterprise function or maybe improve your revenue or whatever. So that is the call enterprise IoT. So I am requesting all the students little bit shift your gear and now think on enterprise IoT, forget about consumer IoT for some time. Just for your information, what is the IoT scale? So the number of mobile devices will exceed the number of people. Our today Earth population is 7.8 billion, and that is a prediction that mobile devices, as most of the people are now carrying two smart devices, two mobile phone or iPad or laptop and everything. And there are predictions that there will be 100 billion things connected to the internet by 2030. Just to imagine 100 billion things that will be connected to the internet. And just this is for your information, the IoT platform market is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 33% and is expected to reach at $1.6 billion market size in 2020. So it's a very fascinating and very emerging field. So let's move on. So when we are discussing about IoT, it has, whenever you are thinking or when you are thinking about enterprise IoT, there are four fundamental components: people, process, data, things. Things are connected to the internet, they are generating the data, you're processing on that data, and then finally it is giving the meaningful insight to the people, right? So these are whatever in the enterprise IoT, these are the four fundamental things which you have to keep in mind. And once you are thinking the whole ecosystem, it will give you smart city, it will give you smart hospital, it will give you smart highways, it will give you smart factory, smart home, everything is smart. And even we ourselves also smart. Okay, so this is just, we will spend some time on this slide. So I really want you to understand it's a very high level of IoT architecture. So any enterprise, when you are going to implement IoT, whether it's a retail, manufacturing, transport, or even agriculture, dairy, all the industries today are going into the transformation or planning to move into the transformation through IoT implementation. So first layer is we call it perception layer, which is data gathering. So basically it is consisting of lot of your sensor which is collecting the data. Then this data has to be one. If you have collected the data, what do you want to do with the data? The data has to be processed. It has to be go from all these thousands of devices through some particular system, which is we call middleware layer system, and that in between comes your network layer, where you have a lot of network technologies and protocols which will transmit your data to the middleware layer. Middleware layer typically in today's era, which is cloud. So it's gone are the days when you have a legacy system or where everything goes to the cloud, and when their data is processed, everything, the data, you have a lot of data has been collected and you have to process and get the meaningful insight from that data. And eventually that data will go to the final, your application layer, which will be visible to the end user. I just want to give a very simple example. I know most of the engineering students who must be reading this IoT architecture, especially computer science or electronics, but for benefit of others students, just think as a we human being. We have four senses are given. That's our eyes, we have a sensing, touching, we have a taste, and we have a hearing. So that human has made us a very smart, means God has made us, we human as a very smartly. So all of you must have been studied biology. So what happens when you see the object? See, to you look is very simple, but your eyes has a sensor. So that is taking that object, So that is your perception layer. And then through that perception layer, your nerve system is there. That is your network layer. And that image is going to your mind. That is your cloud or middleware layer. Your mind is processing that. And then that picture is in a visible form is created for you. And from that, again, nerve system, it is coming back to your eyes and you are able to see. So here in our application layer and sensor, both are eyes. Means even your end user interface is also your eyes and sensing is. So it's a typical IoT oval architecture is also work exactly in the similar way. I will take one more example because medical industry or healthcare is a very, very critical. And I think we all are experiencing globally. This is the COVID situation where all our healthcare staff is working 24/7. So how, just I am giving one example. Let's assume that you have a blood bank in a very big hospital or a lot of important vaccines are there. Now, all these vaccines and everything, they are stored in the boxes and it has to be remain in a very proper environment condition, proper temperature, proper humidity. Just assume you have now enabled all the boxes with your IoT sensor. That sensor is taking the temperature from all, maybe let's say if a blood, thousands and thousands of boxes are there, different vaccines and medicines are there, temperature is taken from that. And from these thousands of sensors, this that data is collected. Then you have a network layer. From network layer, there is some cloud setup is there or some middleware layer where this data is being processed and different insights are made. And some medical officer is sitting and he's kind of he or she is observing that data and he immediately say, one, this particular blood bank or box temperature is below the threshold or below higher than threshold. So it's an alarming situation. Or some vaccine is not in a proper humidity is not there. Sitting from there, the medical officer will send the instruction. This has to be corrected to the X threshold. Again, the instruction will go from your middleware layer. Then again, the data will processed, which your sensor can understand, right? So eventually that sensor has to set that. So that data will process, which sensor can understand. Again, through network layer, the data will go to your sensors and those sensor will again set the temperature. I think it's just you assume there is no human touch and it's a kind of a thing, lot of valuable vaccines and everything which is managed and safe remotely. So this is just one example I have given. This is just slide I have kept. I will not cover in detail. The two aspects just I want to cover. That four layers we have covered, which is your perception, your network, and then your middleware or maybe data processing layer and application. But there are two more emerging fields are coming in IoT, which is security. Security is a very, very wide aspects, and you have to enable the security at your network layer, your data layer, your perception layer, data gathering layer. So this is one another field for engineering students. And that is another thing you might be hearing, edge IoT. I will just quickly cover is basically edge IoT is where you are not sending the data to the cloud and the data is getting processed near to IoT only, very close to IoT, that is edge IoT. So that itself is another field. Just I want all of you to keep that in mind. Okay, now this is just students. We will cover each and every layer little bit in detail. So it will give you basically insight what exactly that layer is there, what is the purpose. And think again in the terms of, I know many of you students, hardware is a kind of a field that may be their passion. For some, networking is the field, for that them it will be passion. Some might be want to build their career on data analytics. Then this middleware processing might be the area where you have to build your expertise, or someone might be good in application programming, or I may assume many may not be knowing is what is my interest area. So I think you will be able to at least get an idea if you are looking your career in IoT, which is the particular layer I should choose. Every layer need a lot of expertise and every layer is a very, very detailed field itself, as topic itself to study. Or maybe some might be wondering, I do not want to do any job or not from a technical field. Many of you might be mining industry, manufacturing, or mechanical. I'm sure you must be joining a big corporate. So you have to think how the corporate I am joining, how IoT can enable my corporate business. You have to think from that angle. You have to think because IoT is the complete game changer. Many of might be looking for a becoming some entrepreneur, want to start their own business. Then you have to think how I should scale up my business through IoT. So IoT is an enabler for the person who is thinking from a business angle. So we will quickly cover on each of the layer, what exactly each layer is there. So perception layer. Perception layer is basically your hardware layer, which is consisting of all your sensor, chips, RFID devices, actuators. So what is the purpose of basically this perception layer, which is collecting all kind of a data that can be humidity, that can be temperature, that can be your picture, video, anything. So the data is gathered from this sensor and devices, and then it has to go somewhere. So that we will come to the next layer. So hardware layer is a very extremely important, because when you are completely putting an IoT system, then your hardware decisions are very important. Which sensor, which hardware you choose, because every sensor has different capabilities. So that is the expertise of a particular hardware engineer. Next is come your network layer. Again, network layer is in itself is a very vast field with respect to IoT. So network is the layer which is working as an interface between your middleware layer and your this is perception layer. So basically it consists of your cellular, satellite, Wi-Fi, LPWAN, NFC, Bluetooth, lot of things, right? So, and it consists of lot of protocols also. So basically that it is providing that connectivity to the data. Data is getting transmitted through that particular layer and this protocol to your next layer. So I think this you can see Wi-Fi, NFC, RFID, 4G, all these your network medium. Next comes to your middleware layer. So what is middleware layer? So again, this is a cloud. Today, everything middleware layer is a cloud. Every processing happens in cloud. So middleware layer, it is basically, it's consists of your data processing and data analytics. Everything, whatever the data now you have collected from thousands of sensors, it is coming to this layer and it is processing your data. That analytics is happening, and then you have to bring that insight from data, the meaningful insight from the data. So basically large number of sensors and everything, that data here, lot of analytics, and it has to be processed. Then this, again, just I am repeating, for much of the IoT, the head or the brain of the system is in the cloud. Sensor devices collect data and perform actions, but the processing, commanding, analytics, everything that is making this entire ecosystem is stuff which is happening in the middleware layer. So data analytics with respect to IoT is completely a different in itself, is a vast field which require a detailed study. Last is your application layer. Yes, data has been collected, it has been processed, and eventually now it has to be available to your end users for viewing, taking the decision, which is we human being, which we are seeing this. So basically it has your lot of your graphical data representation and smart applications. So the information is basically now made useful to the end user in some way. And this can be any email, text notification, picture, anything, it can be there. So the students who are good in application or who want to build their pursue in the career in the IoT and application programming is their favorite area. So this is the layer where they have to focus on. Last is IoT platform. So we have discussed about all these four layers, but some platform has to be there which is connecting all these four layers. So basically IoT platform are the support software that connects everything in IoT system. And IoT platform facilitates communication, data flow, device management, and functionality of application. So basically, IoT platform will help you to connect hardware, handle different communication protocol, provide security and authentication, collect, visualize, and analyze data. So all these things. So typically, your like Windows or your cloud, the way that provide the platform. So IoT platform is in itself is a one layer in your overall IoT architecture. So the persons who are good in system programming or who wants to pursue their career in the system programming. So I am assuming all of you are familiar what is system programming. So just for benefit of all, basically you do application programming, you are developing the end user application, but your application has to run on some platform, some software that you need operating system, you need some middleware layer. So base same for IoT overall ecosystem that requires one platform. So that is another layer in the overall IoT architecture. So this is now we have covered it. So my dear students, now just little bit now change your thinking and now think about these 5 layers. And this is a vast field of IoT, which is your interest area or in which you want to build your career, or the people, again I'm repeating, who are going maybe different streams, civil engineering or maybe mining or mechanical thing, the business which you are supporting, how you can make that business smart through this complete IoT architecture. Okay? So again I will repeat the concept in holistic way. This picture, so just it's a perception where we have a lot of sensors. So those sensors can be your neural sensor, medical sensor, environmental sensor, chemical biosensor, infrared sensor, RFID. Mobile phone itself is a big sensor. You know it can capture our voice, location, picture, everything, even eyes, right? Now in that whatever is the industries there, you have collected this all this data through sensor. Now sensor, this data has to be processed, right? So then comes to your communication, that is networking protocol. So there you have to require network devices and network protocol. So that may be your wireless sensor, NFC near field communication, RFID, and LPWAN, Bluetooth. All these consist of your network layer. Network layer, then the data has to go to the middleware layer. So now here the data has to be processed. So the data may be application specific or on based on event or based on service, you have to analyze that data. This is then to bring that meaningful insight. And just one more thing I want to emphasize here. I see there is, I'm sure computer science student must be knowing there is something called structured data and unstructured data. So structured data is which is coming in a defined format, but here every sensor is a different. Neural sensor may be different, medical sensors may be different. Each sensor has their own capability. So this data is completely unstructured in the different format. So this middleware layer is a very, very important. It is the brain of your entire IoT ecosystem, entire IoT architecture. And here the all your data has to be processed, and eventually it needs to go to the application where you are human or whoever they are sitting, so they are taking the decision on that data. So that application may be your energy conservation, your agriculture, transport, even your entertainment, home automation, health and fitness, supply chain, logistic, anything. So any of the industry today which you can think of that can be made smart with this entire architecture, which will start from your sensors, then that will process through communication layer, that will go to middleware layer, and eventually the data will be go to the application. So right from today, just keep this picture in mind and think on the IoT about that, just not like your smartwatch or your smart TV or your smart fridge. Okay. So this is, I have briefly covered about the IoT architecture. So students, those who are interested in any particular layer, that itself is a very, very huge study and that require detailed study, and it's a vast field. Please go and read. Don't read as an entire IoT system. That is for end user. You are not the end user, you are the enabler, right? So just focus on that, and then you can, based on your interest area, you can further do analysis and study. Now next, how this entire things works, I have just covered few of the use cases. Again, I am covering the use cases, not consumer one. Industrial use cases, enterprise use cases, where one particular enterprise is completely enabled through the IoT system. So healthcare, which is a very, very important and very, very crucial. So how, where our all medical officers across the globe working 24/7, how can you make the entire healthcare system as a smart system? Just assume some your critical patients are there. So some sensing devices are attached to them that is measuring their glucose level, their ECG level, their blood pressure level, and some medical officer is sitting, and through that sensor which is connecting from that body, it is going to the medical officer, and if alarming situation is there, immediately whatever special care is given, that can be given. In fact, I know entire globe is struggling in this COVID situation. Just assume whatever the suspecting patients, their oxygen level or their blood pressure or their temperature is continuously monitored and available, and complete history is there, and it is helping all the medical officer to give the proper treatment. So that is between your medical officer and patient. Even as an overall medical and hospital, they have to be really has to be smart, because time is very crucial in the medical healthcare system. So overall their system, all their machinery, x-ray machines, if that can be smart, you cannot even we cannot have a even 1 second downtime of, let's say, if your critical system or your ICU care system, it has to be 24/7 in a proper condition, because it's a dealing with health. So just assume all the hospital, everything, the devices, x-ray machines or whatever different, they are making smart, so they are connected, their maintenance is happening, their health is measured through the sensors, and before that breakdown, it is known to the maintenance staff and they can do the proper maintenance at time. Second, I will take the example of your use case utilities. All of us are talking about smart city. What is a smart city? Smart city is where it itself has a lot of components. So your water distribution system is a smart, your electricity distribution system is a smart, your traffic system is a smart. So each of this itself is, again, I am telling you, with the smart cities, one of the industry. So I will just take one example of smart water solution. I am living in Bangalore, and those who know, Bangalore is in the top 10 cities of the world where water is depleting, and even predictions is there maybe in another 10 years there may not be sufficient water for day-to-day life. So we always give the doubt that no proper rain or cutting trees. Yes, that is 100%. 100% that is a problem. But what is the more that problem is wastage of the water. I know that is a problem in all the cities in India, but Bangalore, if you see the tankers, they are carrying the water, 50% of water is getting wastage, right? Or even one pipe has been broken, nobody is taking care, 100 of liter water is just going and just wasting on the roads. And we are saying that there water scarcity of water. Why? Because water is, whatever that water is there, it is not reaching to the end consumer user. So even that analysis has been done that Bangalore, whatever water it is generating through Kaveri or different tankers, only 50% of water is getting to the end user, 50% is completely getting wasted. So how to solve this problem? IoT is the one of the solution. So just this is a simple diagram where you can see that you have a one water plant is there, and there are some IoT water valves are there, IoT water flow is there, and then at the end user, smart water meters are there. So now someone is sitting, and when that alert is going, because these walls and this whatever flow meter, they are smart, they have some sensor, the leakage in the pipe is there, the person who is sitting into the office, BWSSB officer will come to know immediately, that officer will close that wall, water will immediately stop from there, no wastage of water, and that person will put the wall there, no wastage of water. Otherwise, in the normal condition, someone will report to the this BWSSB officer and they will do it. Same at the household. I think when the things are available, we take it granted, and when some scarcity is there or some control is there, then I think it is the importance of the things is more and more. Now, let's say today in my home, if one, because of that malfunctioning of tap, today I have wasted 10 liters of water. I have a luxury of again using the 10 liter water. Why? It is my fault that water is getting wasted. So at every home, that is smart meters are there, smart walls are there. Today, my from that capacity, or I am only supposed to consume 100 liter of water or X liter of water in the day. Once I close that threshold, the person who is sitting, who is monitoring this and putting with the smart system, putting the wall and no water supply, automatically discipline will come. And trust me, this will solve the problem. So this is one of the very, very example which is typically uh, uh, Bangalore need. And just I would just want to like to highlight. I am just doing one of the project recently on that under the guidance of one of the professor from IM. Next is your transport system. So in the overall where logistic system is there, so from asset tracking or your checking fuel level efficiency or your location or vehicle speed or engine, everything it can be done through the IoT system. In fact, your tire monitoring, theft monitoring. I'm assuming that many of the students who are part of this call, their parents might be in the business. So you might have been here that they are tracking that whatever cargo through the phone that truck has reached, or why it is delays or it is a breakdown and everything. Until the time those cargoes are not reached to the destination, it's a nightmare. Or even sometime those cargo might be carrying the perishable things or some very important things. So where this logistic industry, where thousands and hundreds of trucks are there, so each of the truck, not only whole a truck, even the part of the devices, whatever is kept in that, it can be IoT enabled, and the decision can be taken immediately based on the condition. If let's say fuel is not there, so how you can guide for the nearby fuel station or whatever, or if some truck is not in a proper maintenance, or if some very important item, you have to send the message. So this is one use case of transport industry. Agriculture, which is another very coming emerging field. So if the engineering student, I think agriculture is also one of the stream in engineering. So there it is, IoT is completely enabling overall this industry. So I'm just giving you one example. See, every crop needs a different kind of a moisturizer level, right? So then, but as of now today, whoever the farmers, maybe they just do their manual monitoring. So just assume there are some sensors are there which is fit into your soil, and that is your uh, measuring your moisturizer level. And when that moisturizer level is increasing or decreasing, based on that, that water pumps are there which are also IoT enabled, and with the proper intensity or proper that their water is getting passed, right? Even for the drones are there for field monitoring, or even whatever the machines are there in agriculture industry, that can also be monitored through this. Just I have not covered. In fact, just I was reading Japan. This dairy industry. So dairy itself is a big industry. So there they have a lot of problem with the health of their all the cows. So even then they should, what should be the solution? Because for the dairy industry, health of the cow is very important, and that because their all business depends on that. So even they have made all the cows also smart. Their pedometers are fit on their legs, and it is tell for uh, all the animals with their this movement of their legs, you can infer a lot of things. So even the dairy industry, that has been, apart from your machinery and everything whatever they use, or different, even they have made their cow also IoT enabled. So even the dairy industries is also become smart. Military. So it's a military is basically where all your connect ships, planes, or your drones, or even soldiers, they are connected, and enemy doesn't know, but very smartly way they are passing the instruction to each other and making overall your military system as a very secure and smart. Then last is that your retail. So I think this is a very common thing. Most of I know as a end consumer, you must be aware of the overall a retail store. You can make it start. So even you can have a IoT sensors fit into the different whatever your shelves are there. So it can be what is your demand consumption. It can be measured in real time, or your supply chain management. If some consumption is more, so you can give the order at the right time. So your shelves or whatever the different items, they are connected through sensors, and every data is monitored. So this is a way, this is just giving the pictures, a picture of some typical grocery store. Anything, it may be retail, it's your fashion industry or whatever, they can make it completely IoT enabled, and that will help them to a proper supply chain, and that will help them further enhance their business. So this was overall my last use case. So I think now you are able to think any of the industries starting from your retail, or even I have not covered manufacturing. In manufacturing industry where you have lot of machines are there, so you can make that machines smart machines IoT enabled, so their health can be monitored well in advance, and whoever the production manager can take the decision in advance before getting the machine down and losing all their production system. So all these use cases now, if you see, they have lot of different kind of things are there in that, and those things are connected with each other. Those things are connected with each other. Different sensors are there. That sensor, the data is through network layer, it is going to your middleware layer, that is again your application layer, and then data is analyzed and it is visible to your end user, and you can make any decision or anything on that. Okay, so I assume, I think this overall presentation must have given you the idea of what is the overall IoT architecture and which are the different layers, and as a industry how you can enable and make that smart using that IoT. So this was the overall gist of the presentation, and if you are interested in any of the field, as I told, maybe different courses are there, you can take it up. I am sure all the students, they must be very, very much interested that what is next for me, is how I should build my career. I'm assuming you must have got no idea, but still I will be covering, because for all the students, this is a very, very kind of a question. How should I enable my career, or how should I build my career in the IoT? Everyone is talking about IoT. Again, I'm repeating the same thing. Please put in your mind, if your interest is of hardware, if you have a lot of interest, or if you are good in hardware engineering and everything, then the perception layer, that is yours, where lot of sensor or embedded chips or aggregators or different meters or cameras where your expertise is required, because all these hardware, that use cases or whatever we are discussing, it is very, very specific to your use case and industry, what kind of smartness you need in that particular sensors. So that is the area for you, and I have just put some of the companies which are doing lot of work, so maybe you can read that. Next, if now hardware doesn't fascinate me, networking, which even that students, you must be knowing that itself is a very vast field. It consists of lot of network devices working on different kind of protocols. And if networking is your interest area and you want to build your career in the that space, then IoT networking is a space for you, because IoT networking, different kind of network devices and different customized protocols you have to build based on that your typical use case demand. So that is the area for you. Someone who is want to build that, who are the good coders. See, there are two kind of coders. One is application developers, and another is your system developers. So if that we discussed about the platform, so if you are want to build your career in the system side, means building the platform, so IoT platform building require again another kind of expertise, that it itself is a vast field to study. That is the field for you, or that is the career, that one path you can choose. And as you know already, this Microsoft, Google, and IBM, they are already a companies which develop on platform. So they are doing a lot of work on the IoT platform also. Now, last, if the before that, if the data analytics. So data analytics, or working on the data, that is if your kind of a passion, or data science, because see, this everything when you have collected from the data, that data has to be processed in a different way, and that meaningful insight from the data has to become. So that is the data analytics, or here the name has been put, software customization is the field or for you. Or if you are a good in application programming, uh, building a smart graphical user interface. So how that you may be having different devices like your smart watches are there, smartphones are there. So how that data is coming to and representing in that way, so that you can choose as a application as your field. So see, this is the typically those who are as a IoT enabler. Now again I am repeating, I think here the everyone is may not be in the hardware, or they do not want to build their career in software side, right? Some might be from mechanical engineering, they might be going into the manufacturing, or from mining or agriculture or dairy, or even maybe public services, or there is no surprise, even after engineering some might be going into the military also. Then you have to think that yes, IoT is today, it's an enabler. I am joining this industry. Now I know what is overall IoT. How should I make that industry as a smart? Today I am working in a retail industry, or today I am working in a manufacturing industry. So when I am going as an engineer, I have studied about IoT. So how now today my job is to make this entire plant as a smart, making all the machines as a production manager or as an engineer. You are making the machine smart, so before that breakdown, and you are providing the maintenance, and lot of decisions you are taking, and your business is growing. Or many of you might be want to start their own company or startup, any field, that may be any technology field, that may be any kind of end user services, whatever it is. Then also you have to think how I can make use of IoT to make my system overall smart. So just keep that in mind. Technology is an enabler, right? It's an enabler. So you, the other people which I am talking, which is do not want to build their career, but still they have to think how the Internet of Things will be enabler from my business, right? So this is all about today's session, and I wish this could have been interactive session, but as far as I know, I think there are just give me some time. I think some questions are there, so which has been put by students. So I will try my best to answer those questions. Just give me a minute. Okay, I see a lot of questions. Okay, we have approximately 15 minutes. So just I am stop sharing my screen now. Okay. So, okay, let me try to pick up the question, whatever I will try. I think I see almost somewhere around 30 to 40 questions. So I will try to. The first question is, when is 5G coming to India? See, I am not the right person to answer this question. This is the call has to be taken by Telecom and TRI, because they are the decision maker. It depends on a lot of your spectrum availability and all those things. But the person, whoever this person has been asked by, I don't know if I'm supposed to announce a name. Someone from Meghalaya. So see, but I think that person has something in mind. Just, but I would like to touch base. See, the 5G is one of the revolution in IoT space. See, 5G is what it is bringing. It is bringing your speed, right? That data will be on very high speed. And now just to visualize, when your 100 billion devices are connected, then you just assume what is the amount of data. Some data might be very sensitive, some data in mechanical internet, I don't know. Which course would you suggest for IoT IoT development professional who is interested in launching his career in IoT development? I think we have covered it in a very extensively. There is no single course. You decide which is your passion area, or maybe you don't know, then think over it. And then lot of courses are there, and go with that courses. Each of the 5 that layers we have discussed, that itself is a has a that detailed architecture. We have covered a very high level architecture, so go for that. What are the options in future for a tech law or a students of law interested in the field of IT? I think very interesting question. It's a very interesting question. I think I have not covered for a law in my entire discussion. See, so I will try to answer it. When I very recently heard about the tech law. So this is a new term, it is coming up. So basically for the law professionals, because when technology is coming up, so your crimes are also increasing, right? Cyber crimes are increasing. So how a lawyer control the technology which is not leading to the crime, or which is not kind of preventing the crime. So in that case, for you have to understand the data layer. Basically everything is in the data, right? So which is the sensitive data. So you need to understand about whatever the data flow is happening. It is not on the mercy of any industry or medical industry. For some of maybe your glucose level or your blood pressure level, or every person's individual data is very very secure. So what are the data can be visible to the next layer, or what the data can be processed, and what data can be only available to the restricted user, and what can be to the entire world or application. So for a law student, you have to understand the complete data flow in the IoT, what all possible data the IoT system can collect, which is the secure data, which is the unsecure data, which the data is when shared which can lead to crime. I think I try to answer, but I really like the question. So even so, for a law also, you that law student also they have to understand the IoT. This is, I don't know if I attend this talk, will I get the, I think NPTEL is the right person if you get certification or not. Is remote control based on IoT? I think now you will not ask this question. See, remote control itself is a thing, right? So it's your choice. It's your choice. You can make it smart. You can connect that to internet. So see, now I am again telling you, my dear students, you have to now think as an enterprise IoT, industrial IoT, not as a thing. You should not now from tomorrow ask whether my bag is smart, whether my light is smart, or whether my water bottle is smart, my purse is smart. No, how you have to make the entire system smart. So now the answer to your question, remote control, it is yet another thing which is controlling your different home appliances. If you want to make it smart, yes, you can make it smart. Then it has some sensors connected to that. So those sensors are collecting the data, and then it is going through some your layer, whatever we have discussed, and some decision making. So maybe just I am thinking, I am visualizing maybe some from remote, which is storing all your instructions related to TV and all those things, and it can then based on your choice and kind of show, it can stream whatever the program you want, or maybe whatever your refrigerator is there. So your that remote control is that is also smart, so it can control the different compartment temperature, so that you can make a smart remote control. The next question is, on what basis can we compare different IoT protocols, MQTT, CoAP? It's again very good questions. So IoT protocols, I think the person, it's Simran Kaur from Delhi. Only you have mentioned two protocol, MQTT and CoAP. I think CoAP is a constrained application, and MQTT is basically used in the transport industry. So that way now it is typically, we discussed about the different protocol at the network layer. So many of the protocols are coming up. So on what basis you have to compare the IoT protocol? Take a top down approach. Your thinking has to be top down. What is your use case, right? What do you want to eventually, just 1 second. Yeah, please. Okay, 1 second. Oh, so video is hung. Okay, let me check. Yeah, video is hung. How to enable that video? decisions in the data analytics layer, where you have to make the lot of decision after processing the data. Huh? Okay. Next question is, what is the ideal way of start learning IoT, and what are the resources to develop skills in the field of IoT? I think we have covered this, but again, I will repeat it. See, you have to first understand the overall IoT architecture, which I have covered it. If you are interested, you please again go through that courses, many courses, you will get it, read it in the detail, and then choose which is the skill you want to develop in the networking area and hardware area, and then choose that and then further enhance your skill. How IoT is coming up with cloud computing, like IoT with cloud is a trending term. See, IoT is an enabler, cloud is. So yes, IoT and cloud has to go hand in hand. So as we spoke, when the data is collected through sensor, through the network system, then there has to be some platform where this data can get stored and then analyzed. So eventually the data from the different, your just visualize when you will have 100 billion sensors, so that data is connected and that is transmitted through, and eventually it is going to the cloud. So it is the data processing is happening in the cloud only, which is your middle layer. So both are very much internet connected. Next is, I am attending this. Okay, sorry. As a J2E developer, I want to switch to IoT. Which field IoT has more career prospect, and how to design career path? What are the popular languages to write program for consumer IoT? Okay, so if you are a developer, you have a two options. You want to become as a system developer or application developer, as we covered the layer, the platform layer, and then your application layer. So first you decide as a J2E. See, once you're a developer, fundamentally same, you have to solve the problem with some simple language. So choose that particular, your IoT application development or IoT platform is that one layer I have described, and build your career into that. Languages, C is one of the very prominent language, which is still using in the IoT space. Python is coming up, and there are many more languages are coming up. Then the next question is, how IoT improve the rural people standard? Excellent question. How IoT improve the rural people standard? So see, rural people first. See, what do you mean by standard? What is the problem you want to solve with the rural people? It's a hygiene, it's a medical system, it's water. So how, what do you mean by standard? In my view, standard is when you are making your healthcare system smart for rural people, or you are making sanitization system or water provide the water or proper healthcare system. If that is the when you are improving, means you are making your rural people standard. So think on the problem, which is the problem you want to solve. And again, when you are take a top-down approach, this is a problem. Now, what do I have today? What is the next it should happen to solve that problem? Again, like water I have. Let's say if people that you do not have the proper water distribution system, then first you should have a basic fundamental water distribution system, and how you can make it smart through IoT, or medical healthcare, how you can make it smart through IoT. So this is the, you can improve rural people life. Explain the basic architecture of the IoT network. I have 3 more minutes. We can't do it, but it's a very big, it's again can be another 1 hour lecture. So maybe we will request to the NPTEL team. Ma'am, IoT jobs provide on which company? Tell me the name. Please, first, you don't, IoT jobs, there is no such thing kind of IoT jobs. So first, please make yourself first an expert in that area, and I think I have one of the slide I have shown. These are just some of the companies which are working on a IoT. So once you decide, once you have some expertise, and then after that you can apply, or even as a fresher also, if as a fresher, choose which is your field, and then accordingly where you want to build us. So there is not such thing IoT jobs, means specific area, networking or whatever you are want to, or hardware layer or your application layer. So most of many of the companies are working on that. So please think, just look into that, what those companies are looking, and start building your expertise on that. Impact of IoT on future construction industry. How should I learn about IoT in construction industry? Very good. So I think looks like someone is from the civil line. So see, what I can visualize, the civil engineering, it is need lot of your heavy this machineries, and which is in the civil construction and all those things. So what I can think of, to be very honest, I have not much looked into that civil, but certainly I will look. But immediately what I can think of, there are a lot of your machines are there. So your maintenance of that machine, predictive maintenance of those machines, or monitoring those machines. So for a civil engineer, rather than to be always in the field, if he can remotely check the health of those machines or status of whatever that machine has done the work, or different kind of in the civil field. So that is the one thing can be for the civil engineers. Then sorry, how do we build? I think a lot of questions. So I'm not sure. Maybe let me choose one more questions. What? I'm confused. So many questions. What is AIoT? Okay, let's quickly cover on that. What is AIoT and how we can it transform IoT? So AIoT is basically your artificial intelligence IoT. So it's again a name has been given. So in IoT, I think as I have explained, you have a one data analytics layer. So data analytics is where your lot of data is coming up, and then you have to process that data and take the decisions. So how you can derive the intelligence from that particular data. So where is your artificial intelligence comes? So the data processing layer, which we discussed, there the artificial intelligence lies, means you are making your data and decisions more and more intelligence through learning from the data. That is your artificial intelligence. Okay, I am working in AI ML. Will learning about IoT make me full stack IoT engineer? How will it enhance my career? So, my dear friend, it's a good thought. You want to become a full stack IoT engineer, but I would suggest choose one thing. So if you are already working on AI and ML, then first focus on the data analytics layer, which we have discussed, data science, and these are all correlated terms. That itself is a very big field. And then full stack, I don't know, maybe full stack, whether you are talking about the entire IoT architecture, uh, maybe it's all your, I think when you will consume in the AI and ML, let's say, my assumption is you will not think about any other layer. But then, yeah, you can move to the next other layer, maybe the plus and minus, which is very next to that. I want to add IoT services in my startup. What type of solution and services we can provide to customer, specifically related with IoT? So IoT, as I told, we are talking about industrial IoT. So I don't know what is your startup. So again, it is use case driven. So see, you have to think what your consumer wants, what kind of a services you are providing. So maybe it's a very difficult for me to tell. So but let's say again, just I have taken for example, let's say it's your retail industry. Some you are in the retail, or your startup is there. So how you can bring the customer experience, means when the customer showing through the IoT sensors everything, that this particular thing is placed at this, and the supply chain is always the customer what they want, quality, and then on the time delivery. So if through putting some different sensor, your supply chain, if you can strengthen, then you can give a good consumer experience. I am not sure if I am allowed to extend that session. Maybe I can just do, maybe it's 7 to 7:05, because there was a network or maybe some disruptions was there. I will try to take one or two more questions. I am in instrumentation and control engineering, very interested in IoT now, currently working on EPC organization. How this pandemic, how can learn and move to this field. So if you are in the instrumentation and control engineering, hardware is the field where I told you there are different kind of a sensors and which are a lot of work is happening. So read and uh, do something and study and do some course, and then whatever your experience in instrumentation and control engineering, I am 100% sure it will also help in the IoT space as well. Okay, I want to ask that I am in a phase where I know the concept of hardware and data analysis through cloud. I am searching for doing some projects with Arnido and Raspberry mainly. I think, see, you can do a lot of projects. Its question is not very clear. So you know about hardware and data analysis through cloud. See, again, my friends, see, there are two way of thinking on that. See, first thing is, I know even in my then student life we have lot of questions and lot of kind of if and buts. There are two ways of thinking. Think on a top down approach. First is what is the problem you want to solve, and then analyze one layer, what is the problem basically you want to solve, and then what exactly is required to solve the problem. And IoT is an enabler, technology is one enabler to solve that problem, and how you can put different IoT components. That is one way. The other things I can understand, as a student you do not have that much of industry exposure or business exposure, then start with one of the layer which I have explained, hardware layer or application layer. Learn, and make your expertise, and then build your career on that. So I think NPTEL team, it is 9:05. I think we can wind up the session. Maybe just someone give me green signal on that. See, I'm just reading the message from NPTEL team. Maybe let me check if I can extend. Just let me check if it is I am allowed to extend the session. Questions I will cover quickly. How IoT can help in banking sector? Okay. How IoT can help in banking sector, right? So banking sector is that two angles are there. One is banking sector require as a bank. There is no physical banks today, right? There is no physical banks today, but still, if it is a physical bank, so you can enable the security or whatever in that banking system. But to be very honest, if everything is now we are processing through, even everything is now internet banking, so there is, I am not able to think of any sensor or anything. The only thing I can think of, maybe your devices whichever you are using, that has to be secured. But I am beyond that, I am not able to think, to be very honest. Let me think and I will revert back. So this question I cannot take. Someone is asking about Capgemini. Sorry, this is not the right forum. Strategies for post pandemic. Okay, great question. So strategies for post pandemic. See, I think that last 5 6 months, it's a kind of everyone has now experienced, everything has to be digital. Everything has to be digital. So if you, I have to answer this question. One, I would suggest that our healthcare system, we have to focus on that, which we have covered. It has to made really, first is the prime importance is make as a IoT enabled. Then based on different kind of a need, the different industries we can think which are the really which is essential for human life. I think we have to think for those industries to make as a IoT enabled. So this is answered from my side, strategies post pandemic. And you being as a student or whoever is planning to become entrepreneur, think on those problems. And I think maybe start learning more and more, and how medical system, how can you can make that IoT enabled, which kind of a protocol, which kind of hardware devices, which kind of a application we can develop. Ma'am, how the data security issues handling in IoT architecture? So yeah, I didn't cover that in too much of detail, but IoT security is in itself is a big field. And as I mentioned, that all your 5 layer, that is starting from your hardware, they need a different kind of a security protocol, because eventually it is data. And then the data is going through that your network layer. So at the network layer, then you have to put the security in your whole IoT architecture. Then the data is getting processed in your middleware layer cloud. So there also in the entire IoT system, you have to put security. Then eventually at the application, then when the data is visible, so you may not want to make the visible all the data to everyone. So the data security has to be put at each and every layer with a different kind of a protocol, with a different kind of a devices. And then IoT security itself is a one of the parallel field which required altogether another study or maybe another course or something. IoT for automation agriculture, I think I have covered in my slide. Your water, your kind of soil monitoring is monitoring your this moisturizer of your soil and everything, or even monitoring your overall fields, that can be through IoT devices. Okay, so I see lot of questions are coming up. I will check if we'll get connect with NPTEL team, and if I don't know if there is a way to answer your question, but it is already now 19:10, and I think let's wind up this session. So it was just a one-way communication. It was not an interactive session, but I would have loved it. It could have been interactive. But all my dear students, all the best. And IoT is a very fascinating word. Start thinking from today itself to build your career as an entrepreneur, as an engineer, or whatever. It is IoT is everywhere. And that's all. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.